Now, remember on the weekly, for BTC, we've been talking about this, or I have been talking about this for many, many weeks, which is the possibility that this weekly level would hold. Welcome. I am Eric with Mother.com, and as we conclude this options expiration week, we can see a nice close here on Friday's session with about 40 minutes to go. If we take a look for the week, S&P 500 is currently up about 6% for the week. The Dow is up about 5%. And for the week, the Nasdaq is up nicely, up about 8% for the week. Net, a huge week for the markets. Let's go and take a look at the Nasdaq from its weekly standpoint. And we go to the lows of late 2018, which we can see right there. And a nice recovery. And we can see that at that point, the RSI bounced with uniform activity. At RSI 30.9, it held perfectly, uniformly, and that was good enough to get off the lows there. Take a look at the lows next of March 2020. Same thing, nice bounce in the market here, and we haven't been back to those lows. And even here, we have the same thing. RSI 30.9, uniform activity support. We went below 30.9, back above it with uniform action. And then we can see in the here and now again, we kissed that area around 30.9. And we are bouncing with uniform activity, which is signaling that for now, these lows could hold and the market could be sideways to higher. And that's from the Nasdaq. That's one way to look at things. The other way to look at things is draw a line based on my uniformity concept, which looks something like this. And you see nice recovery here in early 2019. Draw a line from there, which is what we see here. And if you use that uniform action again, below the line and back above it, it gave you those lows. And we seem to be doing the same thing here. Uniform action below the line, back above it, signaling that the market could be stabilizing. If not, has already recovered and is due to be sideways to higher from this point on. That's the weekly for the Nasdaq. If we take a look at the daily for the Nasdaq, we can draw this wedge here as we had drawn in the last weekend market analysis video. We are off that wedge there. And because these highs of the wedge correspond with important highs on the Nasdaq, this wedge or this trend line is significant in terms of what it could imply. As long as we are above this line now, the market should be stable to bullish. And yes, of course, everybody's watching the retest of the 50-day moving average. So there might be some little bit of a trepidation here before eventually either moving higher, or the other scenario is the Nasdaq is unable to recapture that declining 50-day moving average. And actually, because of that, we could be seeing a market that could start pulling back from current levels. Also, it so happens on the Nasdaq that we are coming to test this break point, we can say, break in November, which brought us off this level. And based again on the uniformity concept, which you're going to find links in the description if you're new to this concept, we tagged this area here in late 2020, actually late 2021, early 2020, also this November highs. And we are back to test this area again. So question becomes, are we going to be able to clear that in the short term, or is it going to be resistance in the short term? Keep in mind, I should have mentioned, if you take a look at the weekly charts, and I'm going to update this, the Dow is now coming close to that RSI 50, which means that it is seeking to close above 50. which might explain why the market is staging this nice finish to the week, as the S&P 500 on the weekly is now moving its RSI above 50. If it holds above 50 for the week, then these gains are going to stick and the market is going to close towards the highs of this week's range.